Hey guys, we wanted to talk to you about Natural Collection today, but we are in such a beautiful part of nature here in Spain. Look, the Atlantic behind us, the sun going down, the palm trees, and wow, this is so cool. To start our talk about Natural Collection Day, and we want to talk about 3 other horse world approaches that are not what we call natural collection. Things like modern dressage, classical dressage, and horsemanship. Let's look into it. Our 3 main approaches in the horse world that we've looked at are modern dressage, classical dressage, and horsemanship. And we kind of had a little bit of delve into all of those ourselves, but our biggest area was horsemanship. So what we want to do today is talk about how each of those areas, in what we found, in our experience for sure, and an experience that we've seen a lot of horse people go through, is that it didn't give us the results that we were really looking for in collection and high collection with our horses.
And what this then of course also means is not just the outcome, but also the combination of how to get to a result.
Yes.
And how it makes the person feel along the way and the horse.
Makes the horse feel as well, right?
And something, of course, what's still standing out, that if we look at the one component of those 3, the classical approaches from, let's say, the old masters and people who came after them, they are still standing out of being able of achieving incredible high collection, like
for instance, Spanish riding school.
Yes,
would be along this line, and some of the academic places, and maybe lightness training. But yeah, for sure, they can do the moves like you talk about, even up to Lavat.
Yeah. So this is really impressive, and we really want to acknowledge that this is a big contrast to most of the other modern approaches.
For sure.
And yeah, but the big conflict we were seeing there is, for one, we were still not having those typical needed horses, like the Spanish horses, for example. They're very often used, as we had Arabian horses and quarter horses, so really not very labeled as suitable for those movements. And then, the big conflict was for sure that we didn't want to go down the path the way how they achieve it.
For sure. So we'll just talk a little bit about, maybe come back to modern dressage. What we see there, I mean, of course, the top of their level, the top of their Grand Prix is they talk about for collection piaffe, passage, and canter pirouettes, which you could say they are in collection. That's for sure. However, what we found is we could not get there through the approaches of dressage, dressage training, dressage lessons, etc. Because what they did was drive the horse forward, we have to drive them forward into a contact, we have to hold the contact, and I know there's all variations of holding contact, soft hands, allowing, all these things. However, all of them that we felt, and the people that we've seen come to us and with wanting help, the horses are more on the forehand after some of this training than what they were even before. So it's still a case that we feel like modern dressage approaches, even though they work for some horses, mostly they generally end up more on the forehand, more heavier in the rider's hands, more frustrated, and just not getting collection.
So it means they still have a great intention.
Yes.
They have great rules with most of their parts of what they have in their rule book. Sounds pretty good, of wanting the lightness and wanting
and the weight shifts back.
Yes,
right.
The horse should look like it does it himself and stuff like that.
Happy athletes.
Great points, but in contrast, the way of how they achieve it with their concepts is that they literally load the front end like a lot.
It seems to be. And then if we go again to look at the classical, where we might talk about Spanish riding school, Carré Noir, and the Jerez, we're talking about, I think what's fantastic is they're keeping traditions alive. However, for our point of view, they're keeping traditions alive with a lot of bondage equipment. And by this we mean like side reins, long reins, spurs, multiple people, causing the horses to, bigger bits, causing the horses to create these movements. And if you think about, like we've seen some videos, of course, where there are 3 people involved in getting a horse to do some high collection. Now, of course, if you're on your own, in your backyard, in your arena, you haven't got 3 people to do this, right? So this is another process where it feels like it's not so attainable by people, if you call us ordinary people, ordinary horses, not so attainable for us. And then the third section, where we had a lot of involvement and time and progress, is horsemanship. And horsemanship, of course, is fantastic, builds a beautiful foundation and connection with your horse, and you're able to do a lot of things. We could do a lot of things at Liberty Ride, no saddles, no bridles, we could ride and stop and turn. However, a lot of these movements, if you like, or what we could do, came through conditioning. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with conditioning, but we would love to be able to get our horses to do high movements, collection and high collection without conditioning.
So what means, even though it was great what we achieved, what Tony said, it still kind of led ourselves with our horses down a pathway where we were still forcing all those movements and all this liberty and freedom.
Right.
So it was all forced, and it caused our horses to shut down more and more.
Right, especially your horse Casper, the White Arabian.
Yeah, especially the horses that were already not so expressive,
right.
like this White Arabian horse, and therefore no spark came out.
No.
And then in horsemanship, you get promised that when you rise through the foundation, that you will get to the dreamland of collection and all doors open and it will be wonderful and everything.
But we kept feeling like we were hitting the glass ceiling. We wanted to do, or me especially wanted to do these high school moves. They kept saying, get your foundation better, and it'll come. Look after your relationship and the rest will come. And you kept getting told basically the same thing, right?
Absolutely, but also then at the same time, just never even getting there, because I got then, no matter how much I progressed, I got sent back to a level down anyway, again and again.
I did.
So, and then even when you get started with when you accidentally got started on some collection, or when you were lucky enough that the day finally arrived, then it was still that it was actually a similar approach like in modern dressage, because it happened through micromanagement and manufacturing the frame, with a difference, with less bits in the horse's mouth and with less making and forcing, meaning less holding, but at the end it was still a form of telling the horse where to be with the head and neck. So meaning it was addressing an outside
the frame and look, right? And I think that's the key. These 3 parts that we talk about, modern dressage, classical horsemanship, they're all at a point where they're attempting to put a horse into a frame or a shape, like we just said, and then get the horse to somehow build collection or train in the collection from this frame or outline.
So who's still standing out is then these classical riding art masters with all the different names who are out there, because some of them actually were on the pathway of allowing the horses to be set up different internally, which then made the collection easier, right? But in combination with the bits and spurs, and meaning still with a combination of making demanding.
I think that's true. And there's one other thing that we saw from some of the academic classical riders that we saw, high class people that were doing some great things. When we looked at their horses, we felt like the horses were kind of, I've got no other word for it, but they were kind of marshmallows. Okay, soft and stodgy, and they were doing the moves like fantastic, but they didn't look like the horse was lively, spirited, fully into it, muscular power. And this is what I was looking for, is I wanted to look like, when I rode my horses, I wanted to look like I was part of the horse and the horse was doing what they might do naturally in the pasture when they do these power moves.
And they had fire, right? Expression.
In the pasture?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's face it, guys. if you loved horses and you're into horses, there's a really good chance, I'm pretty sure 99% of you came to horses because you love their power. You looked at them from afar, or you looked at movies or videos and you went, wow, if I could ride that power, that grace, that spirit, this would be so cool. Am I right? But then what happens is, right, for most of us, if we get on a horse like that, we're, excuse me, shitting our pants, right? Because the thing is, the horse scares the hell out of us when they're doing that. But that's what we want. As horse lovers, we want. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what we were looking for. And after trying all these processes, and we tried quite a number of them, we tell you, I spent hours, I spent hours on the horseback, I spent in lessons, and Francie did as well, and then I spent hundreds of hours watching videos off the internet and analysing what's going on. And the whole point was, we finally found out that actually horses don't need to be trained into collection. In fact, if you try to train a horse into collection, you're actually blocking it, because horses, wait a minute, can actually naturally do collection. Can you believe it? They can actually naturally do. They can do everything, every move that we would love to do with them, they can do naturally from only hours old as a foal. That's why we call it natural collection. And this is what we're presenting to you. This is what we're now so fulfilled with and enjoying with our horses, and spreading the word to our students that you can do natural collection with your horse if you don't get in the way of them.
Yes.
If you don't try and make a frame, if you don't try and force them. And the difference is that we allow the horses to internally organize their body, their balance, their posture, their foot movement, hoof movements, their neck, their head. The only thing we really do is right at the beginning, we ask a horse to raise their head neck.
But they naturally do themselves anyway.
Exactly, because we watched horses in nature and in videos and everywhere else, and when they did the high collection, what they did first was they raised their head and neck, which raised their thoracic sling, which shifted some weight back. And voila, guess what? They're in the classic definition of collection.
Without all the demanding forcing equipment.
But also, not only that, without all the demanding, but the thing is, if you haven't got them pulled in or into contact, however you want to call it, if they're not held down and in the, like the SRS and their side reins, if they're not held in this position, they have a chance to get the feeling and internalize the balance and the structure and the coordination of their bodies and legs and their muscles and everything else, and then over a relatively short amount of time, and I'm talking short amount of time compared with classical dressage and horsemanship, where dressage training, they talk about 7 to 10 years to get collection happening. We're talking about weeks, months, maybe a number of months, and horses start doing these high collection.
But even with what you say, a couple of months, this only depends on the person, right?
Some horses do it in the first session, they start bringing up their legs and everything.
But I think
right?
we can go even that far now that we say any horse could
Yes.
do it like this.
Yes. But
In the first session.
because it's all in the horse.
Yes.
It's natural collection. It's all there. We
So-
don't have to bring it out. We have to allow our horses to let it emerge.
This is really the beautiful thing if we summarize it. Classical approaches, some of them achieve phenomenal things. Modern dressage, they have great intentions.
Yep, there are rules and
They achieve flashy, spectacular movements,
Yes.
which we believe do not have much to do with collection.
right.
And then there's horsemanship, which has a great dreamland illusion outcome.
Well, it's helping the
But
person
people
think differently.
can't really
Yep.
get there, and on the way to maybe trying to get there, it's similar like modern dressage
Right.
with more freedom and less bondage equipment. But
Right.
all these three endeavors, and we know there are more. There are also additional others out there, but like Tony said in the beginning of the video, we mentioned those three because we had most contact with them.
Yes.
But all those three are really based on man-made rules, man-made ideas, man-made approaches,
Right.
which usually takes years of
Preparation.
preparation. Often special horses, special riders needed to be able to get to there. And it all is like the horse has to get trained, the horse has to get fixed, the horse has to get told how to do it. And with the natural collection, all that gets turned upside down, because here the mindset is, as the horses prove it, the horses they bring already everything with them.
Absolutely.
Even the highest form of collection. Sure, they can develop while we do it with them. They can become stronger and improve their coordination and stability and all that. But generally, they already have all that there to do it.
They have.
And therefore, it replaces the mindset of having to train them, having to fix them. They already have it all there. Now it's only up to us of how we can connect and communicate with them. So we invite them into something so beautiful, which collapses the time like this.
Crazy. Because what Francie has intimated on, we don't train the horse anymore. They got it all. What we have to do is
All
train
horses,
us.
all breeds.
We have to train us.
Yes.
Right? To not block it. To get out of this mindset that we must get a horse to do a task. And the beauty of this, when you start natural collection with us, it's not about getting a horse to do a task. It's about us preparing our body to communicate and then allowing the horse to show us what is inside of them. And some of them start with a jambette, some start with a Spanish step, some start with a piaffe, some start with a collected canter, even some start with a lavade. First time. It is crazy, right?
And now one more thing I want to mention. Now we talked so much about the outcome from collection, but the big thing what we want to mention here is how it feels.
Yes. That's hard.
It ignites so much, like jaw-dropping,
Yes.
fascination,
Fulfillment.
bringing your love up again, your joy.
Connection. The connection
And the
with the
connection.
horses is just bananas. And
It feels so much better than everything else we've done before, but even this sounds like so negative.
yeah,
It feels amazing.
it is amazing. We have trouble putting it into words. It is so good that, let's think about if we tried to explain to you what strawberry jam tastes like. We can't do it, right? Yet until you taste strawberry jam, you have no idea what it tastes like. And this is the same. But we tell you it tastes good. But the thing is, with natural collection, it is so good. It feels so good. It looks so good. It is so cool to be with your horses with this power coming out. But they're organized in themselves. They're not running forward. They're not running off. They're not kicking. None of this stuff. It feels so fantastic. But you have to feel it. You have to be there. You have to experience it with you and your horse. That's all we can say. You got to do it.
Don't wait any longer.
That's it. Yeah, well, we're here when you're ready. Let's go.